Have you ever felt tired of searching for strength everywhere else and still coming up short? What if the courage, the focus, and the confidence you've been chasing were inside you all along? The truth is, the strength you're looking for isn't something you need to find, it's something you need to recognize and activate. Every challenge you've faced, every moment you've doubted yourself, and every small decision you've made has already built a foundation of power within you. The question is whether you'll finally notice it and start using it. In this video, you're going to learn how to tap into that inner strength step by step. You'll see how to handle doubt, take control of your thoughts, and turn daily habits into real results. You'll understand why recognizing your small wins and facing your limits honestly makes you stronger than waiting for some external miracle. By the end, you'll feel it clearly. The strength you've been searching for isn't out there. It's already inside you, ready to guide you through every challenge and opportunity in your life. It's time to stop searching and start acting from the power you already have. Chapter 1. Understand your emotions and uncover the strength behind them. You know, one of the greatest discoveries a person can make is realizing that the strength they are searching for has been with them all along. Most people never recognize it because they have never taken the time to understand what is happening inside them. They push their emotions away. They hide their feelings. They act strong on the outside while breaking on the inside. But true strength does not grow when you avoid yourself. It grows when you understand what is going on inside you. It grows when you face your emotions with clarity and honesty. Human progress starts there. When you slow down and take a close look at your emotions, you begin to notice that every feeling you have carries a message. Fear tells you where you feel unprepared. Frustration shows you where you feel stuck. Anger points toward a boundary that has been crossed. Sadness reveals what you value and what you miss. And confidence appears when your actions match your values. These are not random feelings. They are signals. They are indicators. They are a window into your inner strength that you have ignored for too long. Understanding your emotions is not a weakness. It is one of the strongest skills a person can develop. When you ignore your emotions, they control you. When you understand your emotions, you control your life. Every day you wake up with thoughts you did not choose and feelings you did not ask for. But the moment you decide to understand why you feel what you feel, you take your power back. You stop moving through life on autopilot. You stop reacting without thinking. You stop living in a way that drains you. You begin to respond with clarity, calmness, and strength. Many people think strength is about pretending nothing bothers them, but real strength is the ability to feel something deeply without letting it break your direction. Real strength is standing in the middle of your confusion and saying, I want to understand why I feel this way. Real strength is choosing awareness over avoidance, because when you understand what your emotions are trying to tell you, you stop fighting yourself. You stop wasting energy hiding your fears. You stop denying your pain. Instead, you use every emotion as a tool to grow. Human emotions become lighter when you acknowledge them. They become easier to manage when you name them. They lose their power when you understand their purpose. Imagine what happens when you stop running from your feelings. Imagine what happens when you treat your emotions as information instead of problems. You begin to think clearer. Your decisions become smarter. Your confidence becomes real. You stop being controlled by every bad day or bad moment. You stop letting temporary feelings destroy your long-term goals. You become stable. You become steady. You become strong. Strength has always been inside you. You just needed a way to reach it. And understanding your emotions is the doorway. When you recognize what you feel, you begin to understand who you are. When you understand who you are, you stop comparing your life with others. You stop doubting your path. You stop questioning your worth. You begin to see that you do not need outside approval. You do not need someone else to confirm your value. You feel stronger. because you are finally connected to yourself. Most people go years without paying attention to their inner world. They fix their hair, they fix their clothes, they fix their social image, but they ignore the one thing that guides every step they take, their emotional state. When you understand your emotions, you start living with intention. You start choosing what deserves your time. You stop giving your energy to things that drain you. You protect your peace, because you know how easily your mind can be affected. You start treating your emotions as something worth understanding. You start treating yourself with respect. Think about a moment when you felt completely overwhelmed. You might have felt pressure in your chest. Your thoughts might have been racing. Your shoulders might have felt heavy. These physical sensations are connected to your emotions. Your body reacts before your mind even processes what is happening. When you understand this, you can step in before your emotions take control. You can slow down your breathing. You can pause before speaking. You can think before acting. You can make choices that protect your future instead of reacting based on a temporary feeling. This is the strength you are searching for. Understanding your emotions also helps you grow emotionally mature. You begin to notice patterns in your life. You notice how you react when someone disrespects your time. You notice how your energy changes around certain people. You notice the habits that drain your mood and the habits that lift it. You begin to understand that your emotions are shaped by your choices, your environment, and the standards you set for yourself. This awareness becomes the foundation of your inner strength, because once you recognize the source of an emotion, you can change the behavior that created it. When you practice emotional awareness, you also build stronger relationships. You communicate better. You listen better. You understand people better. When you know why you react the way you do, you stop blaming others for everything you feel. You stop expecting people to fix your mood. You take responsibility for your reactions. You take responsibility for your inner world. This responsibility makes you stronger. It makes you stable. It makes you trustworthy. People feel safe around someone who understands themselves. People respect someone who has control over their emotions. You cannot build a strong life while staying confused about what is happening inside you. Confusion leads to hesitation. Hesitation destroys confidence. Confidence grows from clarity, and clarity begins with understanding your emotions. You do not need to control every feeling that comes up. You simply need to understand why it is there, and when you understand it, you can choose what to do with it. That is the moment your strength begins to rise. That is the moment you take charge of your life. Your emotions can guide you toward a stronger version of yourself. When you feel fear, it means you care about the outcome. When you feel frustration, it means you want progress. When you feel sadness, it means something meaningful needs attention. When you feel joy, it means you are aligned with your values. Every emotion is a tool for growth. None of them exist to destroy you. They exist to guide you toward your inner strength. But you must stop running from them. You must stop pretending they do not exist. You must learn from them. When you finally understand your emotions, you stop searching for strength in the world around you. You stop waiting for someone to come save you. You stop depending on external motivation. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to rely on your own judgment. You begin to feel grounded. You begin to feel capable. You begin to feel strong, and that strength was always inside you. You just needed a moment of truth with yourself. You needed to slow down long enough to understand what you feel. The strength you are searching for is not something you need to find. It is something you need to uncover, and it begins with understanding your emotions and listening to what they are trying to tell you. When you gain this awareness, you start living with a stronger heart and a clearer mind. You start valuing your peace. You start protecting your time. You start choosing growth over old habits. You start treating yourself like someone worth understanding, and from that understanding comes strength, real strength, stable strength, the kind of strength that does not fade when life gets hard. The strength you're searching for is already inside you. Understanding your emotions is how you bring it to the surface. Chapter 2. Question your negative thoughts and build real inner control. Most people go through life believing every negative thought that enters their mind, and they never stop to question any of it. They take every harsh idea as truth. They treat every doubt as a fact. They accept every fearful thought as a warning. But if you want real inner control, you must learn to challenge those thoughts instead of letting them run your life. Negative thoughts appear fast. They show up without warning. They can feel convincing even when they have no real evidence behind them. And if you do not question them, they can shape how you see yourself, how you act, and what you believe you can achieve. The moment you challenge a negative thought, you take the first step toward controlling your inner world. You have been thinking for your entire life, but most of that thinking happens automatically. Your mind tries to protect you by predicting problems, reminding you of past mistakes, and imagining the worst outcomes. But this protective instinct often becomes overactive. It tries to guard you even when there is no real danger. That is why you may talk yourself out of good opportunities or assume the worst before anything has even happened. When you question these thoughts, you interrupt the automatic patterns that have been controlling you. You slow them down, you look at them clearly. You separate facts from feelings, and that is how inner control begins. A growing person stops and asks, is this thought helping me or hurting me? A stuck person believes every negative thought without ever questioning its accuracy. When you question your negative thoughts, you break the cycle that keeps you trapped in fear, hesitation, and insecurity. You give yourself the chance to respond with clarity instead of reacting out of old patterns. Negative thoughts often come from past experiences you never examined. Maybe someone criticized you when you were young, and those words stuck with you. Maybe you failed once, and now your mind tries to convince you that you will fail again. Maybe someone did not value you, and now your mind tries to convince you that others will treat you the same way. These thoughts are echoes from old moments, not truths about your present life. When you question them, you take control away from your past and give it back to yourself. You begin to judge your life based on who you are today, not who you used to be. Inner control comes from being able to pause and look honestly at what your mind is saying. When you hear yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, stop and ask why you believe that. Where did that idea come from? What is the evidence? What is the reality? You will notice that most negative thoughts have no real foundation. They are emotional reactions, not logical conclusions. They are habits, and like any habit, they can be changed. When you challenge these thoughts consistently, your mind starts to adjust. Negative thinking becomes weaker. Doubt becomes quieter. Fear becomes easier to handle. You start replacing old assumptions with new clarity. This process does not happen instantly. It is a daily practice. You have been thinking a certain way for years, so changing that pattern requires awareness and repetition. But every time you question a negative thought, you are training your mind to work with you instead of against you. You learn to think with intention. You learn to choose your mental direction instead of drifting into old automatic patterns. Inner control is built through these small moments of awareness. One challenged thought at a time, one conscious response at a time, one honest moment with yourself at a time. When you question your negative thoughts, you open the door to healthier self-belief. You begin to see your strengths more clearly. You notice the progress you have made instead of focusing only on the areas where you feel behind. You stop assuming that failure is guaranteed. You stop believing that you are powerless. You stop letting your mind exaggerate problems. You start making space for balanced thinking. Balanced thinking leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to real improvement, and improvement builds genuine confidence. Inner control is not about being positive all the time. It is about being aware of your mental patterns and choosing which ones deserve your attention. You do not need to pretend that everything is perfect. You simply need to question the thoughts that are trying to limit you. When your mind says you are not ready, Ask yourself, what evidence supports that? When your mind says everything will go wrong, ask yourself if that has been true every time. When your mind says you cannot handle something, remind yourself of everything you have handled before. Questioning your thoughts weakens the grip of fear and strengthens your inner authority. Many people let their negative thoughts shape their identity. They start saying, I am someone who always fails, or I am someone who cannot change, or I am someone who is not strong enough. But these are not facts. They are thoughts repeated so often that they turned into beliefs. When you question them, you loosen their hold. You stop viewing yourself through the lens of doubt. You begin to build a new internal identity based on truth instead of fear. Your confidence becomes grounded in a clearer understanding of yourself. Learning to question your negative thoughts helps you manage stress more effectively. When you understand that not every thought deserves your trust, you stop reacting emotionally to every worry that shows up. Your body stays calmer, your mind stays clearer. You start noticing how quickly negative thoughts can affect your mood, your breathing, and even your energy level. With awareness, you catch these thoughts before they spiral. You steer your attention toward facts, solutions, and choices instead of fears and assumptions. Your inner world becomes more stable. You stop carrying unnecessary tension. You feel more in control of your day. Questioning your negative thoughts also helps you handle criticism. Instead of assuming that every judgment from others is accurate, you evaluate it. You look at the intention behind it. You decide how much value it has. You do not break down every time someone expresses an opinion about you. You learn to separate your self-worth from the opinions of others. This independence is a major part of inner control. You begin to trust your own evaluation of yourself more than the noise around you. Another important advantage of questioning negative thoughts is that it stops you from predicting the worst in every situation. Many people suffer not because something bad happened, but because they convince themselves that something bad will happen. They exhaust themselves thinking about outcomes that never occur. When you challenge these patterns, you free your mind from unnecessary stress. You stop imagining problems that are not real. You start focusing on what you can do right now instead of worrying about what might go wrong. Inner control grows when you take responsibility for the way you think, not responsibility for having negative thoughts, because everyone has them, but responsibility for how you deal with them. You can choose awareness, you can choose clarity, you can choose to challenge the thoughts that hurt your confidence. You can choose to build new mental habits. You can choose to speak to yourself with more truth and less fear. Every time you do this, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. Being able to question your negative thoughts also builds emotional stability. You become less affected by small things. You recover faster from setbacks. You stop letting temporary feelings take over your action. When you notice a negative thought, you acknowledge it, examine it, and decide whether it deserves any influence. This is how emotional resilience develops. You become stronger inside. You become steadier. You become capable of handling life without losing yourself. There is a deep sense of peace that comes with inner control. You start to feel safe with your own mind. You stop being afraid of your own thoughts. You know how to manage them. You know how to respond to them. You feel more grounded. You feel more confident. You feel more present in your daily life. And this peace is not created by ignoring your negative thoughts. It is created by understanding them and refusing to let them dominate your life. When you learn to question your negative thoughts, you begin to realize how much potential you have been holding back. You see how many opportunities you avoided because of fear. You see how many dreams you delayed because of doubt. You see how many times you underestimated yourself. And this realization can be painful at first, but it becomes powerful the moment you decide to change it. You tell yourself that you will no longer allow your mind to stop you from living the life you want. You choose to take back control. Your strength starts to rise when you speak to yourself with clarity and honesty. You become a person who thinks with intention. You become someone who understands their own patterns. You become someone who takes charge of their thoughts
instead of letting those thoughts dictate their future. This is the path to inner control. This is how you build mental strength that cannot be easily shaken. And this strength was never outside of you. It has always been within your reach. Question your negative thoughts. Challenge the ideas that limit you. Look closely at the beliefs you have accepted without thinking. The more you understand your mind, the more control you gain over your life. And with that control comes the strength you have been searching for.
Chapter 3. Notice your habits and strengthen the behaviors that help you. Most people wake up every day wanting a better life, yet they never stop long enough to look at the habits that shape their days. They hope for change, but they continue doing the same things that keep them stuck. If you want to strengthen the behaviors that help you, you must first notice the patterns you repeat without even thinking. You cannot change what you refuse to see. You cannot grow from routines you never pay attention to. Every day is built on habits, and those habits either push you forward or pull you back. The moment you start noticing them, your life begins to shift in a real and powerful way. Your habits speak louder than your desires. You may want confidence, but your habits determine whether you build it. You may want clarity, but your habits decide whether your mind stays clear or cluttered. You may want progress, but your habits decide whether you take steps forward or remain in the same cycle. A habit is not just something you do, it is something that shapes who you become. When you notice your habits honestly, without excuses, you begin to understand why you feel the way you feel and why your life looks the way it looks. Take a moment and think about how you spend the first hour of your day. Think about how you speak to yourself when you face a problem. Think about what you do when you feel stressed. These moments reveal your real habits. You might carry routines from your childhood that no longer serve you. You might keep behaviors that feel comfortable but hold you back. You might follow patterns you learned from people who were struggling themselves. When you notice these behaviors, you begin to see the connection between your habits and your life outcomes. Nothing changes until your awareness changes. Strengthening helpful behaviors starts with understanding the small actions you repeat every day. A habit can be something as simple as reaching for your phone the moment you wake up, or eating whenever you feel bored, or speaking negatively about yourself when something goes wrong. These small actions build the foundation of your emotional life. They feed your confidence or they drain it. They build your discipline or they weaken it. When you observe them closely, you gain the power to choose differently. You gain the power to create routines that support your growth. Your mind likes familiarity. It will always push you toward what feels easy, even when it harms your progress. That is why you repeat certain behaviors without thinking. Your mind wants efficiency. If you want to strengthen helpful behaviors, you must bring awareness to the routines your mind has automated. You train yourself to pause before repeating the patterns that limit you. You train yourself to choose actions that align with the person you want to be. Awareness creates space for change. Without awareness, you fall back into old habits no matter how motivated you feel. When you notice your habits, you begin to see how they affect your energy. You may realize that certain behaviors drain you more than you thought. You may notice how often you waste time on things that do not improve your life. You may discover that you comfort yourself in ways that hurt your long-term goals. You may notice that you push aside meaningful tasks because they require effort. These realizations are uncomfortable, but they are powerful. They give you the chance to choose strength over comfort. They help you build a life that does not rely on momentary escapes. Strengthening your behaviors means understanding why you created certain habits in the first place. Many habits form as coping mechanisms. Some habits help you avoid emotional discomfort. Others help you feel safe when life feels unpredictable. When you notice the purpose behind your habits, you can decide whether they still deserve a place in your life. You are not trying to punish yourself for old behaviors. You are simply becoming aware of how they influence your life. This awareness is what allows real growth. One of the most important steps in strengthening helpful behaviors is identifying what you do well. Many people focus so much on their flaws that they overlook their strength. But noticing your positive habits is just as important as noticing the negative one. You might already have behaviors that support your growth, like being consistent with your responsibilities, keeping your space organized, or showing up on time. When you recognize these strengths, you reinforce them. You give yourself credit. You build a foundation of confidence that makes it easier to improve other areas. To strengthen helpful behaviors, you must also simplify your life. Many people struggle with habits because they overwhelm themselves with too many expectations. But inner strength grows through clarity, not chaos. When you choose a few strong behaviors to focus on, your mind has the space to improve them. Small improvements add up faster than dramatic changes. A simple behavior repeated daily becomes part of your identity. Once it becomes part of your identity, it becomes effortless. That is how long-lasting habits are built. Notice the habits that appear under stress. Stress exposes your truth. When life becomes difficult, you fall back into the behaviors you trust the most. Some people turn to avoidance, some turn to anger, some turn to overthinking, some turn to distractions. When you see these patterns clearly, you can replace them with healthier reactions. You can teach yourself to breathe before responding, to pause before acting, to think before reacting. These new behaviors create emotional stability. They build maturity. They strengthen your ability to handle life without falling apart. Your daily environment also shapes your habits. The people you spend time with, the spaces you live in, the content you consume, all these elements influence your behaviors more than you realize. When you notice the impact of your environment, you begin to take responsibility for what surrounds you. You make choices that support your growth, instead of feeding your old patterns. You build routines that help you feel grounded and purposeful. You stop allowing outside influences to control your inner world. Strengthening your behaviors also requires honesty. You must be willing to admit when certain habits are hurting you. You must be willing to accept that you sometimes choose the easy path instead of the right path. You must be willing to acknowledge the ways you avoid growth. This honesty is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to guide you. When you face your habits with truth, you give yourself the chance to build better ones. You give yourself the chance to grow. Inner strength grows when you become consistent with the behaviors that matter. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about showing up often enough that your habits begin to shape your identity. When your identity shifts, your life shifts. You begin to feel more in control. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to choose behaviors that match your vision for your life. This consistency creates the emotional stability necessary for real transformation. When you pay attention to your habits, you also become more intentional with your time. You stop letting hours slip away through mindless routines. You begin to choose how you spend your days. Intentional living strengthens your self-respect. It boosts your confidence. It helps you feel capable and responsible. You start to value your time instead of wasting it. You start to value your energy instead of giving it to everything around you. Notice how your habits influence your relationships, the way you listen, the way you communicate, the way you handle disagreements. These are all behaviors that shape your connection. When you strengthen positive habits in your relationships, you build trust, you build understanding, you build healthy boundaries. Strong relationships require strong habits. When you practice kindness, patience, and honesty consistently, your relationships become more stable, they become more meaningful, they become healthier. Strengthening helpful behaviors is a lifelong process. You will evolve, your habits will evolve, your needs will change, and your routines must grow with you. What helped you in the past may not help you now. What supports you today may change in the future. Flexibility is part of growth. Awareness helps you adapt. Strength comes from adjusting your habits as you change, not from staying attached to outdated routines. When you become aware of your habits, you begin to live with more purpose. You stop moving through life on autopilot. You start participating in your own growth. You make choices that support your well-being. You take responsibility for your future.
You shape your life with clarity instead of allowing old patterns to shape it for you. You become stronger when you build habits that support your goals. You become more confident when your actions align with your values. You become more focused when your routines support your mental clarity. You become more disciplined when you practice behaviors that set you up for success. Growth does not happen through random effort. Growth happens through daily behavior. The strength you want is built through the habits you choose. Notice your routines, understand your patterns, strengthen the behaviors that help you grow. When you do this consistently, you transform your life from the inside out.
Chapter 4. Accept your past struggles and grow the strength they created. When you look back at the moments that hurt you, it's easy to think they only left scars, but if you look a little deeper, you'll see something else sitting quietly behind those memories. You'll see proof that you made it through situations you once thought would break you. You'll see signs of strength you didn't even know you were building while you were struggling. Most people focus only on the pain in their past, and they forget that every tough moment also shaped their mind, their patience, their maturity, and their sense of direction. The past isn't just a list of things that went wrong, it's a record of everything you survived. And when you understand that, you stop judging your past like an enemy and start understanding it like a teacher. Many people run from their past because they believe it makes them weak, but the real weakness is pretending the past didn't happen. The longer you avoid something, the more power it has over you. Strength begins when you stop fighting your memories and start learning from them. You can't change what happened, but you can change what you pull from it. Your past can either be the weight that drags you down or the evidence that you can carry more than you realized. That choice belongs to you. Think about the moments that shaped you the most. They weren't the easy days. Growth rarely comes from comfort. Growth usually comes from confusion, disappointment, rejection, pressure, and uncertainty. Those situations force you to find solutions you didn't know you had. They push you to discover how much patience you can hold. They show you how far you can stretch before you break. And many times you realize you didn't break at all. You bent, you adapted, you kept going. Those are the moments that built the strength you carry today. Your past struggles aren't just stories. They're training. They are the reason you think differently, move differently, and expect more from yourself now. You might not have noticed it while it was happening, but every challenge changed the way you see the world. You learned what matters. You learned what drains you. You learned who you can trust. You learned what you can't tolerate anymore. You learned how to keep going when nothing felt certain. These are forms of strength that no book can teach and no motivational speech can gift you. They come only from lived experience. Sometimes people feel ashamed of their past because they believe they should have known better. They think they should have made smarter choices or seen the signs earlier. But that kind of thinking keeps you stuck. At the time you did what you understood. You made decisions based on the level of awareness you had back then. And that's completely normal. You grew from those decisions. You learned from those outcomes. Wisdom doesn't come before mistakes. It comes from there. Once you accept that, you stop blaming yourself for not being the person you are today. The goal isn't to erase the past. The goal is to understand it with maturity instead of fear. When you can look back without feeling overwhelmed, that's when you know you've grown. When you can remember something painful and not feel controlled by it, that's strength. When you can acknowledge what happened without losing yourself in it, that's progress. You don't have to be proud of everything you went through, but you can be proud of the person who kept moving forward despite those moments. Every painful experience taught you something about resilience. It taught you how to handle uncertainty. It taught you how to stay calm when everything feels unstable. It taught you how to stay patient when life doesn't move at your pace. It taught you how to stand up after falling down more times than you expect. It taught you how to adjust your expectations, not because you gave up, but because you learned what truly deserves your time and energy. These lessons didn't come wrapped in comfort. They came wrapped in difficulty, and that's why they're powerful. When you avoid your past, you miss the chance to understand how much strength you actually built. You start thinking that your value depends on what happened to you, but your value comes from how you responded. Pain didn't defeat you. Loss didn't freeze your future. Failure didn't destroy your potential. Every struggle pushed you to develop some part of yourself. Maybe it strengthened your patience. Maybe it sharpened your mind. Maybe it taught you how to stand alone. Maybe it gave you compassion for others. No struggle leaves you empty-handed. Sometimes strength doesn't feel like strength while you're going through the situation. It feels like confusion, frustration, exhaustion, or fear. It's only later, months or even years later, that you look back and realize how much stronger you became because of it. You start noticing that small problems don't shake you anymore. You start carrying yourself with more calmness. You start choosing better people to keep in your life. You start trusting yourself more. These are signs of strength, built slowly through experience, not instantly through comfort. Accepting your past doesn't mean you approve of everything that happened. It simply means you've stopped letting those memories define your limits. When you accept your past, you take your power back. You stop letting old wounds control your decisions. You stop repeating old patterns. You stop trying to run from reminders of things you've already survived. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is acknowledging reality so you can move forward with clarity instead of fear. You can't build a strong future on top of unresolved memory. That's why it's important to understand what your past tried to teach you. It tried to teach you where your boundaries need to be. It tried to teach you what your heart can handle. It tried to teach you what happens when you ignore your intuition. It tried to teach you the consequences of staying where you don't belong. It tried to teach you how to protect your peace, how to value your time, and how to trust your own judgment. These lessons were not easy, but they were necessary. When you begin to see your past as training rather than punishment, you stop feeling like life pushed you down. You start realizing life was preparing you for bigger responsibilities, bigger decisions, and bigger levels of personal control. The strength you're looking for today didn't appear out of nowhere. It was created through moments you thought were breaking you. You were being stretched, shaped, and sharpened for the person you're becoming now. You don't have to hide your past. You don't have to feel embarrassed by where you came from. Every person who reached a higher level of life had moments they weren't proud of. What matters is that you didn't stay there. You grew. You adapted. You kept moving towards something better. That alone shows stronger character than someone who's never faced difficulty. Your past may have hurt you, but it also trained you to recognize trouble early. It trained you to hear warnings you once ignored. It trained you to say no when something doesn't align with your peace. These are strengths that come only from experience. And once you recognize this, you stop seeing your past as a collection of losses. You start seeing it as the foundation that helped you build the mindset you carry now. Growth happens when you stop running from your old life and start understanding what it taught you. Every difficult moment added something to your character. Every hardship made you more aware. Every setback taught you how to climb again. And every time you thought you reached your limit, you discovered you could go further. Once you accept what you've been through, you become unshakable. You stop doubting your ability to handle the future because you've already handled what once felt impossible. That's the real strength your past gave you. The strength wasn't created today. It's been growing inside you over the years, quietly, waiting for you to recognize. And when you finally do, you'll see that your past didn't just shape your story. It shaped the strength that's guiding you into the life you're building now.
Chapter 5.
Observe your reactions and train yourself to respond better. Most people think their reactions happen automatically, as if they have no control over them. But reactions are habits, and habits can be trained. When something unexpected happens, your mind wants to respond fast. It tries to protect you by pushing you toward anger, worry, fear, defensiveness, irritation, or impatience. Those reactions feel natural because you've repeated them for years. But repeating something doesn't make it the best choice. Every reaction you've ever had was shaped by past experiences, old beliefs, and learned patterns. And once you understand that, you realize you can rebuild those patterns one decision at a time. Your reactions reveal more about you than the situations you're facing. They reflect your emotional maturity, your level of patience, and your ability to stay centered when things aren't going your way. When you don't pay attention to how you respond, you let old habits run your life. You allow impulses to make choices that should be made with clarity. That's why many people regret what they say or do in heated moments. They didn't stop long enough to see the moment clearly. They let the moment control them instead of taking control of the moment. Real strength begins when you become aware of how you react. Awareness is the starting point of change. Every reaction has a root. When you feel offended, it's often because something touched an old wound. When you feel defensive, it's usually because your identity feels threatened. When you feel frustrated, it's because your expectations didn't match reality. These reactions are not random. They come from the meanings you attach to events. If you can understand the meaning your mind creates automatically, you can interrupt the pattern and choose a better response. That's how you start taking ownership of your emotions, instead of being dragged around by them. Many people believe they need to fix the world around them. The truth is, if they learned to respond better, their world would already feel easier. The way you respond determines the tone of your relationships, the quality of your decisions, the direction of your goals, and the level of peace you carry through the day. A calm response can save hours of stress. A thoughtful response can prevent unnecessary conflict. A patient response can turn a challenge into an opportunity. And a balanced response can help you stay grounded, even when everything around you feels chaotic. You can't control people, you can't control traffic, you can't control unexpected problems, but you can control the space between what happens and what you do next. That small gap is where your strength lives. Most people never use that space. They let emotions dictate their next move. But if you slow down for even a moment, you'll notice how much power you have to redirect the moment in a better direction. That pause is not weakness, it's discipline. It's the kind of discipline that turns emotional chaos into emotional intelligence. Training yourself to respond better doesn't happen in big dramatic moments. It happens in small situations during an ordinary day. When someone speaks to you in a tone you don't like, you get a chance to practice patience. When a plan doesn't go the way you expected, you get a chance to practice flexibility. When someone criticizes you, you get a chance to practice emotional control. When life delays something you wanted right now, you get a chance to practice maturity. These small moments are opportunities for growth. Each one strengthens your ability to stay centered. One of the most powerful decisions you can make is choosing not to react immediately. People often assume quick reactions show strength, but impatience is not strength. Loud responses are not strength. Aggressive reactions are not strength. True strength is the ability to stay calm, even when anger tries to rise. It's staying steady even when someone pushes your buttons. It's thinking clearly even when your emotions want to take over. Calmness doesn't mean you're weak. Calmness means you're not controlled by chaos. When you pay close attention to your reactions, you start noticing patterns.
Maybe you get irritated easily when you feel ignored. Maybe you speak too quickly when you feel misunderstood. Maybe you shut down when you're overwhelmed. These patterns aren't flaws, they're signals. They show you where you need to grow. Instead of judging yourself for them, you should use them as guides. Each reaction is pointing toward an area where you can build more emotional strength. Growth begins the moment you stop running from these signals and start learning from them. Every time you choose a better response, even if it's small, you're shaping your future self. You're building mental discipline. You're training your mind to slow down before choosing its next move. You're teaching yourself how to think instead of just reacting. This training builds confidence, not the loud, shaky kind of confidence, but the steady confidence of someone who knows they can trust their own judgment. When you respond with intention, you stop feeling like life is happening to you and start feeling like you're directing your path. Sometimes your reactions are shaped by fear. Fear of being judged, fear of losing control, fear of being wrong, fear of repeating old mistakes. When fear drives your reactions, you end up protecting yourself in ways that make your life smaller. You pull back from risks. You avoid important conversations. You shut down opportunities. But when you train yourself to respond instead of react, fear loses its power over you. You stop living in a defensive mode and start living in a growth mode. Another part of responding better is learning to separate the moment from the story your mind creates about the moment. If someone speaks sharply, your mind might tell you they don't respect you. If someone forgets something important to you, your mind might tell you they don't care. But often those stories are not true. Many reactions are based on assumptions, not facts. When you slow down before reacting, you allow yourself to see the truth instead of feeding the story your mind wants to create. That's how you stop unnecessary conflict before it begins. Responding better also means knowing when to stay quiet. Silence is not a lack of strength. Silence is often the strongest response you can give. It allows emotions to settle. It gives you time to think clearly. It prevents you from saying something you'll regret. But silence also gives room for understanding. When emotions calm down, communication becomes easier and solutions become clearer. Silence is a tool, not a weakness, when used with purpose. Your reactions influence the kind of people you attract into your life. When you respond with maturity, you attract people who value stability. When you choose calm over chaos, you attract people who appreciate peace. People naturally respect someone who carries themselves with emotional control. And the more you practice responding better, the more you raise the standard for how you expect others to treat you. There will always be situations that test your patience. There will always be people who misunderstand you, push your limits, or bring unnecessary tension. You can't eliminate challenges, but you can build yourself strong enough to handle them. When you respond better, you create fewer arguments, fewer regrets, and fewer problems. You gain more clarity, more confidence, and more emotional freedom. That freedom comes from knowing you're no longer controlled by anger, fear, or impulse. You're guided by choice, not reaction. Learning to respond better is a lifelong process. Some days you'll do well, some days you'll slip. What matters is that you keep paying attention. Every mistake is another lesson. Every improvement is another step toward a stronger mind. When you refuse to ignore your reactions, you start seeing opportunities for growth everywhere. You stop blaming the world for how you feel and start taking responsibility for the energy you bring into every moment. Your reactions can either make your life harder or make your life smooth. The difference comes from awareness, patience, and practice. You're not trying to become perfect. You're simply trying to become more intentional. You're trying to create a version of yourself who doesn't get shaken by every small thing. A version of yourself who can face problems without losing control. A version of yourself who stays steady even when others lose their temper. And over time, the more you train yourself, the more natural these new responses become. What once triggered you won't have the same power. What once frustrated you won't shake you as deeply. What once made you lose control will become just another situation you know how to handle. That's how emotional strength grows, quietly, consistently, and intentionally. You may not notice the change right away, but others will. They'll see a calmer presence. They'll sense a stronger mindset. They'll feel the difference in the way you communicate. And eventually you'll feel it too. You'll realize that emotional control isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about directing. It's about choosing actions that protect your peace, rather than actions that destroy it. Every reaction you improve builds your character. Every moment you stay grounded strengthens your confidence. And every time you choose to respond with clarity instead of impulse, you prove to yourself that you're becoming someone who can handle life from a place of inner power. This kind of strength doesn't show up suddenly. It grows through your everyday choices. It grows every time you choose awareness over automatic behavior. And as you continue observing your reactions and training yourself to respond better, you'll notice something powerful happening inside you. You'll experience more control, more peace, and more confidence in your ability to face whatever life puts in front of you. You'll realize that the strength you were searching for was never outside you. It was always in the decisions you make, the discipline you build, and the way you choose to carry yourself through every moment of your life.
Chapter 6. Challenge your self-doubt and activate your real inner power. Self-doubt is one of the most subtle forces that can hold a person back. It creeps in quietly, almost like a whisper in your mind, telling you that you are not capable, not ready, or not worthy. These thoughts appear at the worst moments. Just when you are considering taking action, trying something new, or stepping into responsibility. Self-doubt is powerful, not because it is true, but because it feels true in the moment. Many people let these feelings dictate their choices. They wait for confidence to arrive on its own, thinking they will suddenly feel ready. But confidence is not something you wait for, it's something you build by facing self-doubt directly. Self-doubt comes from past experiences, from the mistakes you've made, from criticism you received, or from the times you failed. Over time, your mind collects these moments and forms patterns. It starts predicting outcomes before you even try. It whispers, "You cannot handle this, or you will fail again." These messages can become so familiar that you believe them automatically. They are not facts. They are assumptions shaped by fear. Once you recognize that, you can start to challenge them. You can take control over the narrative in your mind, instead of letting it control you. Challenging self-doubt starts with awareness. You must notice the exact moments when it arises. Perhaps it appears when you are about to speak up in a meeting. Perhaps it arises when you think about pursuing a new goal. Perhaps it shows up when you reflect on your achievements and minimize them. Self-doubt is often subtle. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It slips into your thoughts in ways that make you question yourself without even noticing. Paying attention to these moments is the first step toward breaking its hold. Awareness creates the space to choose differently. Once you recognize self-doubt, the next step is to question it. Ask yourself if the thought has evidence to support it. Has something in reality proven that you cannot handle the situation? Or is this just a fear pulling on old memories of mistakes or criticisms? Most of the time, self-doubt exaggerates potential failure and underestimates your abilities. Challenging these thoughts is not arrogance, it is honesty. It is giving yourself a fair chance to see what is actually true, instead of listening to a distorted version of your abilities. Your inner power is connected directly to how you handle self-doubt. The more you face it, the stronger you become. Each time you step forward despite fear, you activate a part of yourself that was dormant before. That strength grows quietly, almost imperceptibly at first, but consistently over time. It builds resilience, confidence, and clarity. You begin to trust yourself because you have proof. Every action taken in spite of doubt is evidence that you are capable. That evidence begins to accumulate, and eventually, your confidence no longer relies on waiting for the perfect moment or for outside validation. It comes from the experiences you create through action. Many people confuse humility with weakness. They think that doubting themselves is a sign of being realistic or humble. But self-doubt that stops action is not humility. It is fear masquerading as caution. Real humility does not prevent you from trying. Real humility allows you to acknowledge limits while still stepping forward. It allows you to learn while acting. It allows you to grow without being paralyzed. The difference is action. When you challenge your self-doubt, you stop allowing fear to dictate your behavior. You take the first step into real power. Self-doubt often focuses on worst-case scenarios. It imagines every possible way something could go wrong and amplifies them. But the mind is capable of thinking in patterns that aren't always helpful. By actively confronting these imagined scenarios, you reduce their control over you. Ask yourself, what is the worst that can really happen? Then follow with, if it happens, how can I handle it? Most fears are not as catastrophic as your mind predicts. Most challenges are manageable once approached with calm and preparation. This perspective turns fear from a roadblock into a guide, pointing toward areas where preparation or growth is needed. Activating your real inner power also requires building habits that reinforce self-belief. Each time you complete a task you were unsure about, each time you push past hesitation, you give yourself proof that you are capable. That proof accumulates in your mind and slowly rewrites old beliefs of inadequacy. Small, consistent victories over doubt matter more than occasional huge leaps. Your mind records the experiences you create, and every successful step you take strengthens your sense of self, making doubt less convincing over time. It is essential to understand that self-doubt is not an enemy to destroy. It is a signal, an indication of areas where growth is possible. When you treat it as an opponent, it becomes intimidating. When you treat it as information, it becomes a tool. You begin to see where you are resisting yourself unnecessarily. You recognize patterns of thinking that limit you. You identify the points where fear has been guiding decisions instead of clarity. Understanding self-doubt in this way empowers you to use it to activate your inner strength rather than letting it hold you back. Your inner power grows when you combine awareness, questioning, and action. Awareness tells you when doubt is present. Questioning tests its validity. Action proves your capability despite it. This cycle strengthens your confidence and weakens fear. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes manageable. You no longer have to wait for courage to arrive. Courage is created through the act of facing fear. Each time you act in spite of doubt, you grow. Each time you challenge a limiting belief, you gain more control over your mind. Each time you choose forward movement over hesitation, you reinforce the power within you. Self-doubt often whispers in comparison. It tells you that others are more capable, smarter, or better prepared. Comparison is one of the most deceptive ways doubt gains influence. You must learn to focus on your own path, on the actions within your control, and on the progress you have made. Measuring yourself against others is rarely helpful. Measuring yourself against your own growth is empowering. It allows you to see your own development clearly. It reminds you that real power comes from knowing who you are and what you can do, not from competing with someone else's journey. Confidence doesn't need to be loud or visible. Inner power is quiet. It is steady. It is the ability to act with certainty,
even when your mind is generating doubt. Real strength is not the absence of fear or uncertainty. It is the capacity to move forward in spite of it. You activate this power by consistently choosing action over hesitation, by validating your capability through experience, and by refusing to let self-doubt dictate your boundaries. Every choice you make in favor of action chips away at the influence of limiting thoughts. Another way to challenge self-doubt is to examine the language you use with yourself. Notice the words that run through your mind. Do you tell yourself, "I can't, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough"? Replace these statements with ones that reflect possibility and truth. This doesn't require false positivity. It requires honesty and precision. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you respect. Challenge exaggerations. Replace fear-based assumptions with fact-based consideration. This simple mental discipline strengthens your confidence and reduces the space that doubt occupies in your mind. Self-doubt is often strongest when you are about to do something that matters. It is a sign that you are on the edge of growth. The resistance you feel is proof that you are stepping outside comfort. Every successful action taken in spite of that discomfort increases your capability and resilience. Eventually you begin to recognize that the fear itself was never stronger than your ability to manage it. The moments that once caused hesitation now become opportunities to demonstrate strength. Your inner power becomes visible in your actions. Your real inner power is activated through persistence. You will face doubts repeatedly because they are a habit of the mind. Your mind returns to familiar patterns even when you are growing. That's why persistence matters. Each time you notice doubt, challenge it, and act anyway, you are reinforcing a new pattern. You are teaching your mind that it cannot automatically control your choices. Over time, persistence rewrites the mental script that once held you back. Strength is built in these repeated moments, not in a single dramatic act. Challenging self-doubt also connects you more deeply with your purpose. When you act in spite of doubt, you discover what truly matters to you. You learn where your priorities lie. You notice what brings fulfillment versus what drains energy. Self-doubt loses its grip when you are driven by clarity about your own intentions. Power grows when action is aligned with purpose. This is why taking small steps consistently is more effective than waiting for fear to disappear. Fear will always be present, but purpose provides direction that doubt cannot override. When you continuously challenge self-doubt, you start noticing a shift in how you approach life. You take more initiative. You handle setbacks with resilience. You trust your own judgment. You take responsibility for your growth. You stop waiting for validation from others. You stop overthinking possible failures. You stop hesitating because you feel unready. You start moving forward because you know that action is what activates real strength. The power you seek is no longer theoretical. It becomes tangible through consistent choice and effort. Inner power is not dependent on circumstances. It is dependent on your willingness to confront your doubts and take decisive steps regardless. Every action, every small victory over hesitation, every time you prove to yourself that you can handle what once felt overwhelming, strengthens this power. Self-doubt diminishes in proportion to the clarity of your vision and the consistency of your actions. Strength is built not by avoiding fear, but by intentionally stepping into it repeatedly, until confidence becomes a natural companion. The path to activating real inner power requires attention, courage, and repetition. Notice when doubt appears, question its accuracy, act despite it, reinforce the truth of your ability through experience. Speak to yourself honestly and firmly. Align your choices with your purpose. Persist even when fear returns. This is how the mind rewires itself. This is how doubt loses authority. This is how strength becomes tangible and consistent. Your real inner power has always been there, waiting for you to confront doubt and claim it.
Chapter 7. Respect your limits and build strength through steady personal care. Many people push themselves as if they have unlimited energy, unlimited time, and unlimited capacity to handle every demand placed on them. They treat their bodies like machines that don't need rest and their minds like computers that never crash. But real strength doesn't come from ignoring your limits. Real strength comes from understanding them, respecting them, and building yourself steadily over time. It comes from personal care that is consistent, intentional, and nurturing. Life often feels easier for those who know how to honor their boundaries because they aren't constantly drained by the choices they make. Strength grows in the soil of balance, not in the chaos of neglect. Your limits are not weaknesses. They are signals from your body, mind, and spirit, letting you know when attention is needed. Ignoring these signals leads to burnout, emotional instability, and a sense of helplessness. Respecting your limits means listening to yourself without judgment. It means noticing when your energy is low, when your thoughts are scattered, or when your emotions are stretched thin. It means recognizing that taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. Personal care is the foundation for any real achievement. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot grow without replenishing your own resources. Many people confuse self-discipline with pushing past limits. Pushing hard occasionally can create results, but doing so continuously creates breakdowns. Discipline is not about ignoring your body or mind. It's about working with them effectively. It's about understanding the pace at which you can produce sustainable growth. Discipline is strengthened when it's coupled with self-care. When you respect your limits, you can work consistently over time instead of burning out and starting over repeatedly. Small, steady progress is far more powerful than bursts of effort followed by exhaustion. Observing your own energy patterns is essential. Notice when you feel most alert, most creative, most capable. Notice when you feel drained, distracted, or irritable. These patterns are indicators of your natural rhythm. Respecting them allows you to schedule demanding tasks during periods of high energy and lighter activities during low energy. When you align your work and responsibilities with your natural cycles, you are not only more productive, but you are also building sustainable strength. Personal care becomes a strategic tool rather than an indulgence. Strength is also built through emotional self-care. Ignoring your emotions and pushing through life as if feelings don't exist leads to tension and stress that accumulate over time. Paying attention to what you feel, understanding why you feel it, and allowing yourself space to process emotions creates resilience. Emotional clarity allows you to respond to challenges more effectively instead of reacting impulsively. It also allows you to maintain healthier relationships because you are able to communicate and engage without being overwhelmed by unprocessed feelings. Personal care involves treating your emotions with the same respect you treat your physical and mental energy. Nutrition, rest, and movement are not optional for sustainable strength. They are foundational. The food you provide your body directly affects your energy, focus, and mood. Adequate sleep allows your brain to function properly, regulate emotions, and consolidate learning. Movement strengthens your muscles, improves circulation, and reduces stress. People often overlook these aspects of personal care, yet they are the very building blocks of mental, emotional, and physical resilience. Strength cannot flourish when these basics are ignored. Honoring these limits doesn't make you weak, it makes you prepared. Boundaries are another crucial part of respecting limits. Saying no is not failure. Saying no is an acknowledgement of what you can handle and what you cannot. People who constantly say yes are often trapped in obligations that drain them. Learning to set clear boundaries allows you to focus on what truly matters. Boundaries protect your energy, your time, and your emotional stability. They create the space in which personal strength grows. Without them, you scatter your focus, weaken your resolve, and reduce the impact of your efforts. Mental rest is equally important. Many people fill every moment with activity, scrolling, entertainment, or tasks. Yet mental rest is what allows your mind to process, to reflect, and to generate creative solutions. Pausing intentionally, allowing yourself quiet moments, or engaging in activities that rejuvenate your mind is not wasted time. It is investment in your long-term effectiveness. Those who respect their mental limits are able to make better decisions, think more clearly, and remain steady under pressure. Strength grows when the mind is sharp and calm, not cluttered and fatigued. Personal care also involves self-reflection. Taking time to evaluate your life, your goals, your progress, and your behavior is a critical practice. Reflection is not self-criticism. It is understanding. It allows you to notice where energy is being wasted, where priorities are misaligned, and where habits are strengthening or weakening your life. Respecting your limits includes recognizing when to step back, assess, and adjust. Growth becomes intentional rather than reactive. Your strength is measured by how well you maintain clarity about yourself, not by how hard you push without pause. Strength grows through consistency, not intensity. Daily practices of personal care compound over time. Drinking water, getting sufficient sleep, stretching your body, journaling, spending quiet time, meditating, or simply taking breaks may seem small in isolation, but repeated daily, they build resilience that allows you to withstand challenges, stress, and unexpected demand. Neglecting these practices may seem harmless for a day, but over weeks, months, and years, the absence of steady care erodes the foundation of strength. Those who respect their limits experience life with more stability, energy, and clarity. Respecting limits also improves focus. When you are well rested, nourished, and mentally clear, you can tackle tasks with more attention and less wasted energy. Multitasking under fatigue is ineffective and often leads to mistakes, frustration, and stress. Steady personal care sharpens your ability to focus on what matters most. Strength becomes less about brute force and more about precision. You accomplish more because you are aligned with your capacity rather than fighting against it. Many people associate rest with laziness. They fear slowing down because society glorifies busyness. Yet strength is not measured by how exhausted you are at the end of the day, but by how effectively you can sustain your energy and growth over time. Personal care is a form of self-respect, and self-respect is a form of power. Those who honor their limits consistently are able to operate from a position of strength, rather than constant recovery. Their decisions are clearer, their actions more effective, and their mindset more stable. Stress management is a part of respecting limits. When you recognize early signs of tension, frustration, or overwhelm, you can take action to reduce stress before it escalates. Stress left unchecked erodes physical health, emotional stability, and mental clarity. Personal care practices, such as mindful breathing, gentle movement, journaling, or brief pauses, allow you to reset. Strength is built not through ignoring tension, but by managing it proactively. Those who respect their limits prevent small pressures from becoming destructive forces. Respecting limits also enhances your relationships. When you are drained, irritable, or overwhelmed, your interactions with others suffer. When you invest in steady personal care, you show up with more patience, clarity, and presence. You respond rather than react. You communicate more effectively. You support others without sacrificing your own energy. Strength is relational as well as personal. It grows not only through inner practices, but also through the quality of the energy you bring to those around you. Life becomes more sustainable when you respect limits. The person who constantly overextends eventually faces breakdowns, physical, emotional, and mental. The person who invests in personal care maintains momentum. They handle challenges with more confidence, recover more quickly,
and make decisions from clarity rather than exhaustion. Steady care builds layers of resilience that protect against unexpected setbacks. Strength becomes a natural byproduct of consistent attention to your own well-being. Personal care is a daily responsibility, not a luxury. It requires awareness, intention, and discipline. Ignoring it may feel productive temporarily, but over time it costs more energy, more frustration, and more lost opportunity. Those who commit to respecting their limits experience life differently. They move with purpose, maintain focus, and operate with consistent strength. They have the energy to pursue goals, to nurture relationships, and to face challenges without being consumed by them. Your limits are not barriers. They are indicators of where attention is needed. Each time you honor a limit, you reinforce your ability to function optimally. Each time you schedule rest, nourishment, and mental care, you build reserves of strength. Over time, these reserves become the foundation for resilience. You begin to approach life with confidence, energy, and clarity. You start operating from a place of preparation rather than depletion. Strength becomes natural rather than forced. Respecting limits does not mean avoiding challenges. It means approaching them strategically. It means understanding when to push and when to step back. It means using personal care as fuel rather than seeing it as a compromise. Those who build strength through steady attention to themselves develop stamina, clarity, and endurance. They become capable of sustaining high performance without sacrificing long-term health or well-being. This is how real strength is built. Your ability to thrive depends on respecting your limits consistently. It shapes your energy, your mindset, your emotional stability, and your resilience. Steady personal care earnings you from the inside out, giving you the capacity to handle life, grow, and achieve without burning out. It allows strength to become sustainable, reliable, and deeply empowering. Those who embrace this practice discover that the power they seek is not about pushing past limits, but about honoring them and building themselves steadily over time.
Chapter 8. Listen to your needs and develop strength through honesty. Many people live their lives without truly listening to themselves. They move through routines, responsibilities, and obligations without pausing to understand what they actually need. They focus on what others expect, what society demands, or what circumstances force upon them. Over time, this neglect creates tension, frustration, and a feeling of emptiness. Strength is not about pushing through blindly. Real strength comes from being honest with yourself, from noticing your needs, and from taking action based on that awareness. It begins by paying attention to what your mind, body, and heart are signaling at every moment. Listening to your needs requires slowing down. It requires creating space in your day to check in with yourself without distractions. Many people resist this because they fear what they might find. They worry that acknowledging a need could be selfish or inconvenient. But ignoring your needs doesn't remove them. It only delays the point where they demand attention. Strength grows when you accept your reality without judgment and take responsibility for meeting those needs in practical ways. Your needs are often simple but essential. They could be physical, like sleep, proper nutrition, or movement. They could be emotional, like rest, connection, or reassurance. They could be mental, like clarity, focus, or creative stimulation. Many people ignore the simplicity of their own needs and overcomplicate the process of caring for themselves. When you take honesty seriously, you identify exactly what is required for you to function well. Meeting those needs consistently builds energy, clarity, and resilience, which are the foundation of personal strength. Self-deception is a common obstacle. Many people tell themselves that they don't need breaks, that they can handle more than they actually can, or that their feelings aren't important. This creates internal conflict because there is a gap between reality and perception. Strength is cultivated when you close that gap. When you acknowledge your true state without judgment, you create alignment between your actions and your actual capacity. Alignment reduces wasted energy, increases focus, and strengthens your ability to make clear decisions under pressure. Honesty with yourself also involves recognizing your limits. Saying, "I cannot do this right now," or "I need support," is not weakness. It is clarity. It is the ability to take stock of your situation accurately. Many people resist admitting limitations because they equate them with failure. In truth, the most capable people are those who are aware of their limits and take steps to manage them effectively. Strength is built through action guided by insight, not through blind effort that ignores reality. Listening to your needs requires understanding your emotions. Your feelings are indicators of what your mind and body require. Frustration may signal overstimulation or misalignment with your priorities. Anxiety may indicate unresolved challenges or unspoken needs. Fatigue may indicate that rest is overdue. Emotional honesty allows you to respond effectively to these signals rather than suppress them. Suppression only delays the opportunity to strengthen yourself. When you recognize what your emotions are telling you, you gain a practical tool for making decisions that enhance well-being and effectiveness. Many people avoid honesty because it feels uncomfortable. They fear judgment from themselves or others. They fear change, conflict, or inconvenience. But true strength comes from enduring the discomfort long enough to see the benefits. The moment you face a truth about yourself, you create the opportunity to act in alignment with reality. Acting in alignment builds credibility, confidence, and personal power. The practice of honesty is not passive, it is active engagement with life on your terms. Listening to your needs also requires asking the right questions. What do I need right now to feel balanced? What is draining my energy and how can I address it? What do I want to accomplish today that will genuinely matter to me? What relationships require attention or adjustment? These questions guide your awareness and create clarity. They transform vague discomfort into actionable insight. When you act based on these observations, you reinforce the connection between self-awareness and self-strength. Consistency is key. One-time acknowledgement of needs is not enough. Regularly checking in with yourself ensures that you stay aligned and do not accumulate stress, fatigue, or emotional imbalance. Daily habits, such as journaling, reflection, brief pauses, or mindful observation strengthen your ability to hear your inner voice. Over time, these practices develop intuition, self-trust, and decisiveness. You stop reacting impulsively or ignoring signals. Instead, you respond with intention and clarity, which builds reliable inner strength. Honesty also involves boundaries. Once you understand your needs, you can communicate them to others effectively. Saying yes to what aligns with your priorities and no to what doesn't is a form of self-respect. Boundaries protect your energy, time, and emotional stability. Many people avoid setting boundaries because they fear confrontation or disapproval. But strength grows when you assert yourself in a clear, respectful way. You create space to nurture your growth while maintaining healthy relations. Ignoring your needs often leads to resentment, burnout, and a sense of powerlessness. Listening to your needs prevents these outcomes. It allows you to act intentionally, allocate energy wisely, and maintain balance even in stressful circumstances. The energy you gain from honoring your needs fuels focus, productivity, and creativity. Strength is built not by overextending, but by directing your energy efficiently toward priorities that matter. Developing strength through honesty also means being truthful about your goals. Many people pursue objectives based on what others expect or what seems prestigious, not what aligns with their genuine desires. This creates internal conflict and diminishes motivation. Strength emerges when your actions reflect your true intention. When you pursue what matters to you rather than what appears desirable externally, you operate from authenticity, clarity, and conviction. Inner power grows naturally from this alignment. Listening to your needs also involves patience. Some needs require time to identify, understand, and address. Immediate satisfaction is not always possible. Strength is cultivated by maintaining consistency and integrity while working toward fulfilling your needs responsibly. You learn to prioritize effectively, avoid distractions, and protect your energy from unnecessary drain. Patience in self-care reinforces resilience, making you capable of sustaining long-term personal growth. Self-honesty extends to acknowledging mistakes and learning from them. Accepting that you fell short, missed an opportunity, or reacted poorly is essential for growth. Avoiding or rationalizing errors only reinforces weak patterns. Strength develops when you face reality without denial, extract lessons, and adjust your behavior accordingly. Honest reflection transforms challenges into opportunities to refine your approach and become more capable. Many people confuse self-sacrifice with strength. Constantly prioritizing others' needs while neglecting your own creates imbalance and diminishes resilience. Honesty requires recognizing when you are overcommitting, overextending, or undervaluing yourself. Strength grows when you take responsibility for sustaining your own well-being while still supporting others. It is not selfishness, it is sustainability. The more grounded and balanced you are, the more effective your influence and impact. Developing strength through honesty is also about alignment between words and actions. When you speak your truth, honor your commitments, and follow through on what you recognize as essential, you build credibility with yourself and others. Consistency between self-awareness, self-expression, and action reinforces confidence. Over time, you stop doubting your capacity to handle challenges because your track record proves reliability. Honesty strengthens both character and capability. Listening to your needs also improves decision-making. When you are clear about what matters to you, what energizes you, and what depletes you, choices become simpler and more strategic. You avoid distractions, reduce wasted effort, and focus on actions that produce meaningful results. Your strength is enhanced because your energy is directed efficiently and consistently toward priorities that align with your growth. Strength, through honesty, grows cumulatively. Each decision made in alignment with your true needs reinforces self-trust. Each boundary set preserves energy and focus. Each moment of self-awareness strengthens resilience. Over time, you build a foundation that allows you to act confidently in the world without being pulled off course by external expectations or internal denial. This foundation supports both personal and professional growth. Ultimately, strength is not measured by the number of challenges you endure but by the clarity with which you navigate life. Listening to your needs, acting honestly, and aligning with your priority creates a life where energy is preserved, actions are intentional, and growth is sustainable. Honesty with yourself is not always easy, but it is the most reliable path to building inner strength. It allows you to operate from a place of integrity, resilience, and authentic power. When you commit to listening to your needs consistently, your life changes. You approach each day with awareness of what is required for balance and growth. You respond to challenges from a place of preparedness rather than exhaustion. You make choices that reflect your priorities rather than external pressure. You develop self-trust, clarity, and stamina. The strength you build through honesty is lasting, dependable, and empowering. It becomes the source of confidence, resilience, and capability that allows you to face any circumstance with clarity and control. Listening to your needs and acting honestly is the ultimate form of personal empowerment. It transforms energy, focus, and resilience. It strengthens decision-making, boundaries, and self-trust.
It allows you to align your life with your priorities and values. Over time, this practice develops a foundation of strength that cannot be shaken by circumstance or external pressure. Strength grows quietly, steadily, and powerfully when your actions reflect the truth of your inner self.
Chapter 9. Track your daily progress and boost your inner belief system. Tracking progress is one of the most overlooked but powerful tools for building confidence and belief in yourself. Many people go through their days, weeks, and months without noticing what they have accomplished or how far they have come. They focus on what is missing, what hasn't been achieved, or what is still a challenge. This approach feeds doubt and lowers self-esteem. Real inner belief grows when you take a clear look at your actions, results, and consistent efforts. Keeping track of daily progress turns abstract goals into tangible evidence that you are capable and moving forward. The first step to tracking progress is awareness. You need to notice what you do each day, even the small things. Every step you take toward improvement counts. Many people underestimate the importance of small, consistent actions because they seem insignificant in the moment. But when you add them up over time, they form a pattern of achievement that your mind can see and believe in. Awareness allows you to acknowledge effort, build momentum, and create a sense of control over your growth. Consistency is essential. It is not about doing massive things every day. It is about doing small things consistently. Completing tasks, following routines, reflecting on your actions, and making adjustments every day are what make the difference over the long term. Tracking daily progress helps you see patterns in your behavior and results. When you recognize consistency, your mind starts trusting itself. It builds confidence because you have proof that your actions lead to outcomes, even if the results are gradual. Many people fail to track progress because they focus only on the end goal. They measure themselves against a distant future instead of the present effort. This creates frustration, impatience, and discouragement. Tracking daily progress shifts the focus to what is within your control. It highlights what you did right today, what you learned, and what you improved. This shift strengthens your belief system because it is based on observable facts rather than assumptions or wishful thinking. Writing things down is a practical way to track progress. Recording your actions, achievements, and reflections allows you to see patterns that might be invisible otherwise. It also provides a sense of accomplishment because you can physically see what you have done. Many people do not realize the power of documentation. When your efforts are visible on paper, your mind recognizes them as real and valuable. This recognition reinforces self-belief and encourages continued action. Tracking progress also reveals areas that need improvement. When you observe patterns over time, you notice what works and what doesn't. You can adjust your strategies, focus on your strengths, and address weaknesses systematically. Without tracking, improvement is often random and slow because you are operating blindly. Progress tracking turns trial and error into a structured, intentional process. This structured approach builds trust in yourself because you can see that adjustments lead to better outcomes. Daily tracking strengthens your inner belief system because it provides feedback. Feedback is essential for confidence. It shows you where you are growing and reminds you that effort leads to results. Many people underestimate how much confidence is influenced by evidence of capability. The more you document achievements, no matter how small, the more your mind accepts that you are capable, resilient, and effective. Confidence grows when proof accumulates, not when hope is relied upon. Progress tracking also combats negative thinking. When doubt creeps in, looking at your documented actions reminds you that you have handled challenges before. You have created results in the past and can do it again. Negative thoughts often exaggerate failure and minimize effort. Evidence of daily progress counteracts these distortions and reinforces belief in your abilities. Tracking becomes a shield against mental patterns that undermine confidence. A crucial part of tracking is reflection. Not only should you record what you did, but you should also reflect on how it affected you, what you learned, and what can be improved. Reflection transforms actions into learning experiences. It allows you to extract lessons from success and failure alike. Many people overlook reflection because they focus solely on completion. Reflection deepens understanding and strengthens self-belief because you see growth happening intentionally, not randomly. Celebrating small wins is another essential element. When you track progress, you can acknowledge milestones that may seem minor but are significant steps forward. Celebrating progress reinforces positive behavior, making it more likely that you continue. Your brain responds to recognition by building motivation and reinforcing habit. When you honor your achievements, you internalize the belief that you are capable, persistent, and effective. This internal validation strengthens your inner belief system, far more than external praise alone. Tracking also creates accountability. When you see your actions documented, you hold yourself responsible for the choices you make each day. Accountability builds discipline, which in turn strengthens belief in your ability to follow through. Many people rely on external pressure or deadlines to act. Tracking creates an internal system of responsibility that reinforces self-trust. When you trust yourself to act consistently, belief in your capability grows stronger. Visualization is enhanced by track. When you see tangible progress over time, you can visualize the path toward your larger goals more clearly. Tracking shows a step-by-step map of what you have accomplished and what remains. This clarity reduces overwhelm and increases confidence, because your goals no longer feel abstract or unreachable. You begin to trust the process and trust yourself to handle each step. Confidence is built when action is visible and measurable. Tracking progress also helps you identify patterns in behavior and performance. You may notice times of day when you are most productive, tasks that drain energy, or habits that accelerate results. Recognizing these patterns allows you to optimize your schedule, prioritize effectively, and make intentional adjustments. This level of self-knowledge strengthens belief because you see cause and effect in your life. You learn that your choices matter and that you have influence over your own outcomes. Many people feel progress is too slow and become discouraged. Tracking helps counteract this perception by showing cumulative results. Even small daily actions accumulate into significant achievements over time. Evidence of steady effort helps maintain motivation and trust in your own capability. Belief is reinforced not by immediate results, but by consistent visible progress that proves your persistence matters. Daily tracking also cultivates resilience. When challenges arise, you can look back at documented progress and remind yourself that you have overcome difficulties before. This evidence reduces fear, builds confidence, and strengthens problem-solving skill. Knowing you have a history of persistence creates an inner resource that supports you during adversity. Inner belief grows when proof of your past capability is always accessible. Progress tracking strengthens focus. When you measure your daily efforts, you prioritize what matters most. You stop wasting energy on distractions and unimportant tasks. Focus and clarity reinforce inner belief because you see that your actions are aligned with meaningful objectives. Consistent focus, documented and reflected upon, creates confidence in your ability to direct your energy effectively. Daily reflection on progress also nurtures gratitude. Recognizing your effort, learning, and achievements each day cultivates appreciation for your own capabilities. Gratitude strengthens mental resilience and reinforces a positive self-image. Many people underestimate the psychological power of seeing growth as a gift rather than a burden. Gratitude transforms tracking into a practice of empowerment that continuously reinforces self-belief. Incorporating progress tracking into your routine does not need to be complicated. Simple methods like journaling, checklists, or brief end-of-day notes are highly effective. The key is consistency
and honesty in recording actions and reflections. Over time, this builds a reliable evidence base of capability, persistence, and growth. Confidence and belief in yourself are strengthened because they are grounded in factual records rather than wishful thinking. Tracking progress also reveals obstacles before they become major issues. By noticing small setbacks or inefficiencies early, you can make adjustments promptly. This proactive approach reduces frustration and reinforces the sense that you are in control of your life. Belief in your inner strength is reinforced when you see that challenges can be managed strategically and consistently. Another advantage of daily tracking is the ability to measure growth in multiple areas of life simultaneously. Physical health, mental focus, emotional balance, productivity, learning, relationships, and personal goals can all be monitored. This comprehensive awareness enhances self-trust because you can see that you are developing holistically. Strength is built when you understand the interconnectedness of your efforts and their cumulative impact over time. Many people hesitate to track progress because they fear judgment or disappointment, yet the act of tracking is about honesty with yourself, not comparison with others. It is a private system of feedback that cultivates self-respect and empowerment. Over time, this practice develops confidence, clarity, and self-reliance because you can always refer to your own evidence of capability. Tracking daily progress also fosters adaptability. When you notice patterns of success and areas needing adjustment, you can respond intelligently rather than react impulsively. This skill strengthens belief because you are able to rely on your judgment and experience. You learn that you can navigate challenges effectively by applying insight derived from your own actions and results. Ultimately, the act of tracking progress transforms belief from abstract hope into tangible confidence. Every documented achievement, every reflection, every adjustment, every small win reinforces the idea that you are capable, persistent, and resilient. Your mind begins to internalize this proof and trusts itself to handle challenges, pursue goals, and continue growing. Inner belief is not built in theory. It is built through visible evidence accumulated over time. Tracking daily progress makes success measurable, confidence visible, and self-belief undeniable. It turns effort into proof, actions into evidence, and persistence into a foundation of strength. By monitoring your daily journey, reflecting honestly, and celebrating achievements, you reinforce the understanding that the power to grow, improve, and succeed is within you. This practice nurtures a deep, unshakable inner belief system that allows you to move through life with clarity, resilience, and confidence in your own capability.
Chapter 10. Recognize your small wins and strengthen your long-term mindset. Many people underestimate the power of small wins. They think that only major achievements matter, and that unless something is big, it is insignificant. This perspective keeps them waiting for monumental success and often leaves them frustrated, impatient, and discouraged. Real strength and a resilient long-term mindset are built by recognizing and valuing the small victories along the way. Each small win is evidence of progress, proof of capability, and reinforcement of habits that lead to larger achievements. Strength grows when you celebrate these moments and let them fuel your motivation. Small wins are often subtle. They can be as simple as completing a task you had been avoiding, choosing a healthier meal, exercising despite fatigue, showing patience when you felt irritated, or following through on a commitment. Many people overlook these moments because they seem minor compared to their big goals. But these small actions compound over time. Each one creates momentum, builds confidence, and reinforces self-trust. When you notice and acknowledge them, you create a positive feedback loop that strengthens your mindset for the long term. Recognizing small wins requires attention. You need to observe your actions and results with honesty and clarity. Many people move through life without noticing the progress they are making. They are focused on the finish line, ignoring the steps that brought them closer. Paying attention to daily accomplishments, no matter how minor, allows you to see that your effort matters. Recognition turns ordinary actions into meaningful milestones and fosters a sense of control and empowerment. Celebration does not need to be grand. Acknowledging your effort internally, writing it down, or sharing it with a trusted friend can be enough to reinforce its significance. Recognition strengthens neural pathways in your brain, creating associations between effort and positive outcome. Over time, your mind begins to expect results from consistent actions, which builds confidence and reinforces persistence. Small wins are the building blocks of a long-term mindset because they prove that progress is achievable, manageable, and ongoing. Tracking small wins also helps prevent discouragement during challenging periods. Life is unpredictable and setbacks are inevitable. Focusing solely on major outcomes can make obstacles seem insurmountable. When you train yourself to notice small victories, you build resilience. Each accomplishment becomes a reminder that you are capable of progress even when the path feels difficult. Resilience grows when you understand that effort is always meaningful, regardless of immediate results. Small wins strengthen habits are formed through repetition, consistency, and reinforcement. Recognizing small achievements reinforces the behaviors that lead to success. When you acknowledge completing a habit, your brain rewards itself, making it easier to continue. Over time, repeated recognition of incremental progress transforms behaviors into automatic, empowering routines. Long-term strength is built on these routines rather than rare bursts of extraordinary effort. Valuing small wins also nurtures patience. Many people struggle to maintain consistency because they expect instant gratification. They give up when progress is not immediately visible. By focusing on small wins, you shift your perspective to a process-oriented mindset rather than an outcome-oriented mindset. You learn that progress is cumulative and that meaningful growth takes time. Patience grows as you experience repeated reinforcement that small steps consistently taken lead to substantial results over months and years. Small wins provide evidence for self-belief. Many people doubt their abilities because they overlook their own successes. Each recognized win is proof that you are capable, resilient, and able to achieve your goals. Collecting these moments builds a personal archive of confidence that you can draw upon during moments of doubt. Your long-term mindset strengthens as you realize that your capability is not hypothetical, it is demonstrated repeatedly through your actions. Reflection amplifies the power of small wins. Taking time to review what you have achieved allows you to connect the dots between actions and results. Reflection is not just remembering what you did, it is analyzing the impact, understanding why it mattered, and integrating lessons into future efforts. This creates a sense of mastery, reinforcing the connection between consistent action and meaningful outcome. Long-term mindset is nurtured through this continuous learning and refinement process. Celebrating small wins encourages consistency. Every time you acknowledge effort, you reinforce the behavior that produced. This reinforcement strengthens habits, builds confidence, and makes you more likely to continue pursuing your goals. Over time, this consistency compounds into significant growth and achievement. Strength grows incrementally, and a mindset focused on long-term results is cultivated through repeated acknowledgement of effort and progress. Small wins also reduce the impact of failure. When setbacks occur, having a record of small successes reminds you that you have accomplished things before and are capable of doing so again. This perspective mitigates the psychological impact of failure, preventing it from undermining your confidence or halting progress. Resilience and long-term mindset are fortified when you balance setbacks with recognition of ongoing accomplishments. Small wins create motivation. Seeing tangible proof of progress inspires action and sustains momentum. Motivation is often misunderstood as a feeling that must be generated externally, but real motivation comes from internal validation. Recognizing what you have achieved, no matter how small, provides intrinsic motivation that sustains effort over weeks, months, and years. This intrinsic drive is the foundation of a long-term mindset. Recognition of small wins also reinforces focus. When you notice incremental achievements, you are more likely to pay attention to actions that matter. You begin to prioritize effectively because you understand the impact of consistent effort. Focus and clarity are reinforced when small wins are tracked and acknowledged. Long-term strength grows when attention is directed toward meaningful actions and energy is invested in what produces measurable results. Small wins improve emotional resilience. Each victory, no matter how minor, boosts mood, reduces stress, and enhances confidence. Over time, this builds a stable emotional foundation from which you can tackle larger challenges. People who focus only on big outcomes experience emotional volatility because success feels distant and uncertain. Recognizing small wins stabilizes emotions and reinforces the belief that steady effort produces meaningful results. Another benefit of small wins is that they create a sense of control. Life often feels chaotic, and external circumstances can create uncertainty. By noticing and valuing your own actions, you assert control over at least one aspect of your life, your behavior. This sense of agency strengthens belief in your ability to influence outcomes and supports a mindset oriented toward growth and persistence. Small wins teach gratitude. When you acknowledge your effort and achievements, you cultivate appreciation for your own work. Gratitude enhances mental resilience, increases satisfaction, and reduces anxiety about future challenges. Recognizing small victories helps you see progress even in difficult circumstances, reinforcing optimism and reinforcing a long-term growth perspective. Small wins also reinforce self-discipline. Achieving even minor tasks requires focus, consistency, and commitment. Recognition of these actions strengthens your confidence in your ability to follow through. Self-discipline grows cumulatively as each win validates your capacity to act intentionally and consistently. Over time, disciplined action becomes second nature, supporting long-term strength and achievement. Small wins strengthen self-trust. Each time you take action and see positive results, you learn to trust your own judgment and effort. Self-trust is the cornerstone of long-term mindset because it allows you to navigate uncertainty confidently. People who rely solely on external validation often falter when support is absent. Recognizing small wins internalizes evidence of capability, ensuring that belief in yourself is resilient and enduring. Tracking and recognizing small wins also builds perspective. Many people fail to appreciate progress because they focus on what remains unfinished. Small victories reveal cumulative growth, highlighting how far you have come and what you are capable of achieving over time. Perspective reduces frustration, increases satisfaction, and reinforces a mindset oriented toward long-term success. Small wins create momentum. The psychological impact of recognizing achievement fuels continued action. Each completed task or achieved step energizes the mind and body to tackle the next challenge. Momentum builds as recognition accumulates, reinforcing habits, focus, and belief in your ability to succeed. Over time, this momentum becomes unstoppable because it is grounded in consistent, deliberate progress. Developing a long-term mindset requires viewing growth as a journey rather than a series of isolated events. Small wins demonstrate that progress is ongoing, gradual, and cumulative. They shift your focus from immediate outcomes to sustainable growth. A mindset built on long-term perspective values patience, persistence, and consistent effort. Recognition of incremental achievement reinforces this perspective daily.
Strength and confidence are amplified when small wins are celebrated consistently. The act of noticing achievements creates a psychological environment that supports risk-taking, problem-solving, and learning. When your mind recognizes that effort leads to results repeatedly, belief in yourself solidifies. This belief is the foundation of long-term resilience, motivation, and sustained success. Small wins also encourage adaptability. Recognizing incremental progress allows you to assess what is working and what needs adjustment without becoming discouraged. This fosters a mindset of flexibility, learning, and continuous improvement. Long-term strength grows when you are able to course-correct while maintaining confidence and motivation. Ultimately, recognizing small wins transforms your mindset. You develop patience, resilience, focus, self-trust, motivation, and gratitude. You learn to value the journey and trust the process. You build confidence through evidence of capability, reinforcing a long-term perspective that prioritizes steady growth over instant results. Small wins are the building blocks of lasting strength, a mindset that thrives over years, and a life in which success is sustainable, measurable, and deeply fulfilling. Acknowledging small victories daily trains the brain to see progress even when outcomes feel distant. It teaches consistency, reinforces habits, and strengthens belief in your capacity. Each small achievement becomes proof that you are capable, persistent, and resilient. Long-term mindset develops as these wins accumulate, creating a foundation of confidence, stability, and enduring strength. When small wins are recognized, they multiply, paving the way for greater accomplishments and lasting fulfillment.